So we've already moved into the last bit that I wanted to share about, which is how to access your healing. And that first tip was um, finding this balance between courage and care. I'm just now realizing that there's some like fancy things up here that I could. No, maybe not that. Nope, not that either. Oh Lord. That is very distracting. All right. I will experiment with these filters another day, but they look fun. Okay. So this last section is on how to access your healing and rebirth. And that first one was finding the balance between courage and care. Another one is being witnessed. And I don't think we realize how deeply healing it is to be witnessed. So, the reason why support groups are so effective, the reason why you might be drawn to a support group after going through, loss, infertility, some kind of trauma in your birthing experience, or just trauma in general, right? Um, is because you get to feel less alone. You get to be with others who recognize, yeah, like I know that journey, right? Who see you. Because often when we are among our friends and our family members, like often we are the only one who has gone through that experience, not all the time, but very often, right? It's almost as though life sets it up so that the journey is unique to us, right? Within our little circle of friends or family or trusted people, it's like this is our unique journey. And so we often have to find some other community or group of people that have gone through similar journeys as us so that there is this sense of feeling less alone, of feeling supported, of feeling seen, of feeling heard, and feeling understood, right? Because no matter how a good friend or a partner or some other person in your life cares for you and loves you, they haven't walked in your shoes, then it's hard for them to get what your experience has been like. And so you're surrounded by people who love you, and yet you still feel alone in the experience. And that impacts your healing. Because if you feel alone, you might feel misunderstood and you might feel unsupported, no matter how well meaning people are around you. So, being in a community for your healing and having support for your healing, hugely impactful, so impactful. And just being able to share your story and have other people hear it, that alone is healing, right? So, ways to access your healing and your rebirth, again, courage and care, being witnessed, being in community, and having support. Now, this one to one, the support can be the group support, the support from the group and those around you, the support from the community. It's also important that the support gets to be one to one. Because in a group setting, you're typically moving with the vibe of the group, with the story of the group. So someone shares a story, someone might share another story that's similar. And so there's a theme that's happening. But when you get to have the one to one space, the one to one sharing, then you get to go to how that particular story impacted you, right? What came up for you from that story, from that share, from that, whatever lesson or whatever, the group is going through? What came up for you? What has arisen in your body and in your emotions? And having the support to work through that, right? So your healing is possible. In fact, yeah, your healing is possible. And, the thought that was coming to mind is that your life wants the healing to happen because your life doesn't want to stay closed off, shut down. Like life wants to live. Life wants to live. Life wants to thrive. And if that hasn't been happening, if you're feeling stuck and alone and closed off and limited, misunderstood, it means that you may not have had enough support for your healing. Or it means that you may have been holding so much fear that you haven't been able to move forward with your healing. It means that you may not have had the tools or the roadmap. You just may not have had access or the right person so that you can go on your healing journey. And I want to tell you that, again, not only is your healing possible, but your life wants it to happen. Your life wants you to heal. And so if this is something that resonates with you, if you feel that your life has been calling you to move forward with your healing, if you feel as though the timing is right, if you feel as though, this sense that there's just something that wants to emerge, and if only you had whatever, the pathway, the tools, the guidance to do so, for this emergence, for this rebirth to happen, if you've been sensing that, it means that you're ready, right? And maybe the only thing that you're missing are the tools and the pathway and the guidance to do so. Okay. So if that resonates with you, then I would love to invite you to be a part of a healing experience that I will be facilitating starting this month. So this is a 3-month journey. A 3-month journey with others who have experienced loss. So this can be pregnancy loss, infant loss, others who have experienced trauma around the womb center. So it could be endometriosis, PCOS, other conditions that impact fertility and pregnancy. Could be infertility, and it also could be birth trauma. And the reason why all of those categories apply is because when there is hurt around the womb center, when there is trauma or unhealed emotions around the womb center, that impacts so much of our lives. It impacts anything having to do with creativity, creative expression. It impacts relationships. It impacts your sense of self in the world. And it can impact future pregnancies if the proper healing isn't done. Right? And so one of the things that I've shared about in the past is that someone goes through trauma, even when they're in a setting where no one knows about their trauma or their painful past, the trauma still shows up because it's a part of who they are, right? How they hold themselves back, or how they overdo in order to compensate, or whatever other responses there are, they're trauma responses because the healing hasn't been done. And so trauma changes you. Unhealed emotions change you. Like an emotion can be the difference between getting out of bed in the morning and not getting out of bed. That's the difference in an emotion, which leads to a thought. So that's how powerful they are. And yet, going through your healing gives you that power. gives you the power to choose, gives you the power to reclaim your life and decide what you do moving forward.